What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm gonna get you guys an altcoin update here, and yeah, I mean that's pretty much the name of the game today. So, gonna start with Ethereum. That's the king of alts right now, and then we're gonna move on to Algo as we hit our 53-cent target, and then I think we'll cover XRP, and I'm gonna look at Tezoz. That was one that I think Ollie spotted was breaking out, so we'll take a look at those and go from there. So Ethereum's pretty simple. We were looking at this as an ascending triangle, and that was given yesterday, looking like it wants to do naughty things, right? I mean, pretty simple. And then today, you can see that not only did we get above the triangle, we back tested it, and off we go. Measured move of the break is right here. It is targeting the weekly. You know that we don't always get all of those moves. So you've got I believe this is the yearly R2 right here. Okay, so yearly R2 coming in right here. That is a resistance to get through here at about 1,200 bucks. Get through that next stop, probably between 1250, 1285. And I'm a firm believer that anything over 1285, and I've said this before, I mean, I know we have a weekly here at 1347. We'll probably just go to all-time highs at some point, and I think that would be the case, is that Ethereum will be one of the first altcoins to make all-time highs. I know that a few already have, but I think Ethereum will be the first of the majors to do it. So I am a believer that not all altcoins are going to make all-time highs. I think Ethereum definitely will. The question is, how high can it go? And I think that, anything over what we're doing, we'll have to take a look at Fibonacci, of course. And if we do that here, we've got the R3 obviously coming in at $1,600. I know $2,000 is a popular number just because, well, I mean, it's just a popular number. It's a big psychological level, and you can see that coming in at the $2,000 level is the 1.414, and the R4 coming in at 2,083. So 1618 of this is 2279, and we can begin to look up from there. Let's see where our two spot is. Two spot coming in well above that at 2,800 bucks. So for me, I mean, if this thing cracks the all-time highs and goes into price discovery, barring a melt from Bitcoin to the downside, I do think that Ethereum in its next alt season, so to speak, even though it hasn't really needed one, it's just been doing its own thing since. Last great entry on it was the back test of this pitchfork, actually, a perfect back test. Then it held this daily level that we'd identified right here, and off it goes. Now we're looking to hold the golden pocket. What did we do? We accumulated, put in a continuation pattern, and we're off to the races. So, yeah, if it gets through all-time highs, guys, I mean, let's talk about the fun stuff. That's what everybody wants to talk about, is where can it go? Just using fibs. I mean, that's what we have to go off of here is Fibonacci. The 1.133 at 1620 lining up with the R3. Then the 1.414 around $2,000, 1618 at 2279. Now, if we exceed those, we can start looking up to further targets at, I believe you have the R3 here coming in at 2522. I wonder if that lines up with like the 1786 or something. Let's just add a 1 to that. It does. So the 1786 coming in here at 2,500 bucks. So I would start to give the nod to, okay, if we hit $2,000, it's a psychological number for one, and the 1414. Then you've got a median point at about 2250, but in reality, you're looking at 2,500 bucks potentially for the next big area of resistance. Anything over that, guys, and might as well start looking up to that 2,800 to $3,000 level. All that stuff is fun to talk about, though. Let's see what's going on in the world of other alt. All right, guys, let's look at Tezoz. Tezoz is a very simple setup, in my opinion. Just checking out the fibs on it all together. You had this setup here, came down to an area value through the golden pocket, as you can see, holding it, the 0.75 holding you up. Not only did you have the fibs there, but if we turn on our key levels, you can see that it never closed below this monthly, and you had a lot of support beneath it here between the weeklies and the quarterlies. So really nice, and then you could turn it into something like this, where you had kind of this pseudo falling wedge. Would look something like this with the correct tool, right? So where do we take our measurements from? Well, we take it from the highest point here. If you were wanting to look at targets for that, you've got the quarterly level, which you back tested really nicely on a daily. So you've back tested and then closed above the broken supply line here, which is nice. I mean, you only have 2 touches on it, but well, 3rd if you're counting this one, but still, this is projecting an all-time high. Now, that is if we are going off of the measured move of it. So you don't always get these. A lot of times you get about 75%. So one thing to bear in mind is you've got this weekly level right up here, kind of a trappy area. If you look It is actually coming in at your 886, so keep that in mind. But at the same time, this one does look like it wants higher prices. We're going to talk about the targets from both a percentage base, which you can see right here is coming in just above the all-time high at 4.6337, so $4.63 and 37 hundredths of a penny. Kind of cool. But let's look at it from a fib perspective. So if we were to take this out and take this guy, well, I'm just going to leave him there actually. You can see that falling wedges, I've looked at this from a Fibonacci standpoint before, and I've always said that the Fibonacci standpoint, you're looking for the 382, so that would be take profit 1, take profit 2, take profit 3. And I think in this instance where you're looking at something of this magnitude, and if we look at some of our momentum oscillators, you can see this thing is just jetting for the upside here, really going for it. You could be conservative with this one because you still haven't taken this high. So what you've done is come down here, you've made low, lower low, lower high, well, technically a higher high here, but you did make the higher low. So now what you're looking for is, can I take this wick high, or AKA the 50%? Can I get through it? There's probably a key level there. Yeah, there's a weekly level there coming in at the 50%. And if so, I'd be targeting the 618, also showing a weekly level at the .66 and a monthly level front running it. So there is some resistance going forward, but this one looks pretty good. I'd like to see it get some follow through. Not a bad coin to be in. I would move my stop loss accordingly. I would probably be conservative with my take profits, at least initially. Maybe take 10% here, 10% there, 10% there, moving my stop loss up. And then as this thing begins to grow, I would, take another 10% in this region. And that's just using really basic Fibonacci's. It also lines up perfectly with your levels. You could look at this as a regression band to the upside. We've been talking about those more and more in the group. This is one that's a custom pull, so you have a custom indicator for regression bands in this if you want to use the trend tool, or you can use the built-in one right here. You can use a built-in regression right here. You search linear. And essentially, to me, what this is doing is it's using standard deviations to give you a nice clean channel and projection of price, like what direction is it going. We posted a little bit of material about them in the group after Twin Branch asked about them, so I'm going to look into them and get you guys more information. You'll see me use them more as well. So you can even change the colors if you don't like them, which for me, I don't really care for the colors that much. There's your base. Let's go ahead and just turn that off. Up, down, right, down. So with the base here, what I'm going to do is change this to white, maybe a dotted line here, and then get rid of that. I got to have that for the dotted line. Well, we can tinker as we go and figure out what works best, what colors we like, etc. So, yeah, I mean, you'd just be targeting a channel, and it would just say, within a certain standard deviation, this would be the channel top, okay, right here. And so that lines up nicely with your 886, at least at this point. It will grow in value over time. So it really depends on how long this move is sustained and how far it can actually go. But for me, getting into Tezoz, we talked about it in the group yesterday along with Ethereum. It was spotted by Ollie. He says, anyone notice XTZ is quietly trying to break its descending channel? I just said rip it, and that's where it's going. So it really needs to work its way through some of these levels here, and we will be just fine. So this might be a good one to get in on or hang on to in the near future. Just keep an eye on it. And we'll see what we get. So from there, we're going to go ahead and use, I think we've got fibs here. Yeah, we've got fibs. If it breaks the all-time high like Ethereum, where could it go? I know that we had the measured move. You guys know that I'm always going to default to my fibs at this point. And we can see that if this breaks the all-time high, first target for me is 488, then 528, etc. So maybe this one just rips and goes insane, but for now, guys, I'm keeping it fairly conservative. I'm just looking at the near-term targets here at the golden pocket and the 786, even though the measured move of this does state that it probably gets closer to this 1.133 than not. All right, so Tezoz looking fine, looking good. Yeah, everything on the MACD looks good. Negative momentum is waning. Big explosion to the upside. Want to see that get some continuation, maybe some healthy consolidation down the line here. Algo. Let's talk about Algo. And we might touch on Ren. It looks like RL wants us to look at Ren a little bit, but I laugh at this guy. This was an algo video I made 2 weeks ago. I gave you guys a 53-cent target, and it ran up to the breakout point and then was rejected. It accumulated. I made some follow-up videos, and I did say, I think it's accumulation. Go ahead and continue to hold these positions, or you could be accumulating them as long as this range holds. And so this guy apparently thought the video was terrible. Well, today we can officially say that that 60% target, 253 cents on the dollar. You'll have to excuse the language here. Let me get rid of that for YouTube anyway. 53 cents on the penny, and very nice, right? Very, very nice. Saw, a 6 to 10% rejection here off of the level, but looking like it wants to keep going. We said 53 cents was just the initial target due to the point of control. Where do we go from there? Obviously, you do have the golden pocket coming in here at the 55-cent region, but after that, you are looking up into this region. You're looking for the upper value area high of this range if it gets through the golden pocket here. So between 53 cents and 55 cents, want to be conservative, make sure we're taking our profits. If you just bought in when we made the video, it was at 60 or 33.1 cents. So the current gains on that is 60% over 3 weeks, a little under. And so that's not bad. So unfortunately, it was a terrible video and it didn't make anyone any money. But this would say otherwise. So if you're an Algo fan or an Algo holder, the targets are being hit, and we'll see if we can get higher ones. I have not closed all my position. It was one of my final take profits though for just the intraday trade. And I say intraday, it's just more of a swing trade. We had a target for it, and if it can get continuation from here, we'll reap more of those benefits, and you can see where those levels are going forward. So good for Algo. Glad that the trade is hitting the setup. You can see that not only that we've got the top side of this fork coming in right here, right at the median of the channel, and also the golden pocket. So we're going to have some resistance, in my opinion, between this level and the 55 to 57 cent range. So between 53 and 57 cents, get over that. Obviously the weekly at 62, and then your daily is lining up at the value area high around 66 to 70 cents. So Algo looking just fine. Let's take a look at the momentum oscillators. They're going through the roof as well. Yeah, this looks great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You actually had some bullish divergence off of this move before the move up. That would have told you it was a good time to keep holding that position or get in, just depending on how you wanted to trade it. Last but not least is XRP. Gave this channel yesterday and just let them know, hey, this is how I'm trading the channel. I'm just using the closures right now. It's getting it really, really well. You can see we really ground out the weekly open here. I mean, if we go to a 4-hour, you can see we didn't close any 4 hours below the weekly open. So ran all the way back up to the point of control and to the top side of this ascending channel here, and rejected pretty heavily again. And so now what we're looking for is we have our first closure above this level with the potential of holding an open and close above it. So we're looking for that closure above 24.16 cents, that monthly level we've been talking about. And then from there, targeting the daily, which is your point of control of this range. If this can close above this level, yeah, we're targeting the 29 to 31 cent region. And from there, guys, if it can get through this order block of supply, which I'm not anticipating on the first go, you know that we were looking at this as the potential to have a bump and run style pattern. If you're into hopium, that was the setup, was that you had a bump, and now you've fallen down on a huge sell-off. It accumulates and you get a run phase. That run phase not only lines up really nicely with our weekly here at 62 cents and our high at 78 cents, it lines up really, really nicely with the yearly pivots, if I remember correctly, the new yearly pivots right here. You have the R1 lining up perfectly with that 62 cent region, which is your point of control for this range right here. And I think I had, yeah, there you go. You can see the POC of this old range we fell out of. Really nice clean range too. I mean, you could have just played this range until it broke, which eventually it did, even back tested perfectly, then fell into this range. This has been accumulation ranges for XRP for quite some time. So while it holds this range, you can't be too bearish. You really can't be too bullish either, because it's really taking its time putting in a low here. But again, as we talked about, higher lows on the medium time frames. Want to see that trend continue with wick higher wicks to the highs, right? So want to see this start translating into closures and see this 4-hour MACD begin to work its way through the zero line, which it's trying to do right now as it's expanding. So if this can expand to the upside and work through the zero line and start working into positive territory, that would more or less look good. I think on the daily we were flirting with a cross up, which we still are. It's even closer now. So want to see this as it's breaking through this point of control, cross up on the daily. So should we regain this level right here, the 24-cent level at the monthly, if you recall, where's my levels? There it is. The monthly regains this monthly, starts to break this daily, aka point of control. You can see the consolidation here, and gets that daily MACD cross up with the 4-hour pushing into the positive territory. I think that would look more well good for a test into this region. And that's not a bad move. Again, I don't hold any XRP. I'm not a hodler of it. I'm not one of those that thinks it's going to be the standard, or however you want to put it. I don't think it's going to be king of cryptos, but I do think that it presents trading opportunities, and those trading opportunities can net you some pretty nice gains. Again, if you were just playing off of the weekly to the monthly here, you had so many trades that were so nice, and now they're even extending out to the daily. So this has been a pretty technical coin. There's been nothing wrong with it from a horizontal resistance standpoint. It's just one of those where it's got some really bad news coming with it, so a lot of people are staying away from it, and that's fine. I'm just trying to give out some day-to-day technical analysis on it that you guys might find useful. So from here, we're looking for a closure above the monthly. Get above the monthly, want to see us work our way over the daily, hold that level, and then break into this upper half of the macro range that we've been in. So pretty simple, pretty easy. There were some calling this an ascending triangle right here. You could make the argument. The question is now, will it get the follow through and hit the targets that it should? So we'll keep an eye on it, and I'll keep you updated. That's really all I've got for altcoins right now. A couple people were posting things about Litecoin in the group, if I recall. Twin Branch was looking at Litecoin. Litecoin looks good to me. This is his chart here. He's using that linear regression band to look for the trajectory. It's really just giving you like I said, a channel. It's just giving you a channel based on standard deviations of price. So this one to me is lining up nicely to make a new high on this run. Do I think it's going to make a new high over the 175 area? Yes, I do think it will eventually do that, assuming everything is good with Bitcoin, which is holding the value area high now of our January range, which I believe has been updated. Yes, it has. That's your new value area high. You can see that we are holding it. No real closures down in it. Bouncing off the daily open and point of control. So Bitcoin looking just fine as long as we are holding about 34,500 at this point. Bitcoin should be doing a-okay, and we can look for something like this or like this to this level, and that's the time frame I'm looking for. If it front runs the time frame, it front runs it, but I am sitting in a long, no reason to not be long. Stop loss for me right now is underneath the weekly open, giving it quite a bit of breathing room just because the entry was pretty prime down in this region. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, and I will catch you in the next one.